Okay, the meeting is recording.
Okay, so I have 7:03, so I will call the meeting to order. Go right into roll call.
Gonzalez,
Here.
Mesa Jack,
Here.
Monzone,
Here.
Pelletier here, Puzo,
Here.
Swanson, you said something about Mick not coming?
Mick's not here. Yep.
Okay. Jost?
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next are the approval of the regular board meeting minutes from November. So I'll make a motion to approve the regular board meeting minutes from November 12th, 2020.
I'll second.
Okay, thank
They
you.
were impressive, by the way. Wow.
You.
Any comments, questions, corrections?
We can
Okay.
vote on the minutes. Mesa Jack,
Yes.
Monzone,
Yes.
Pelletier, yes, Puzo,
Yes.
Jost,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next, public comments, agenda items only. Mr. Harrod, would you like to make any comments?
No,
Okay. Thank you for tuning in. President's report, I don't have anything. Other than the last newsletter with highlighting the renovation. I had lots of neighbors just say like how exciting it was. So it's just, you know, it was a good highlight. I think people are looking forward to it. So
Yeah, all the feedback we've gotten so far has been positive. So hopefully that continues, but I think the community recognizes that it's long overdue, little library humor. You know, virtually that department had not been touched since 1969, except for new carpet. So
yeah, I enjoy a good pun too, Pam. So I like it. Okay, so we'll go right into the committee reports. First is finance.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the financial reports for November 2020.
I'll second.
What do you guys want to start with? The income statement? Is that okay? You want to start with the income statement?
Yep.
Okay, or just to pull this stuff up. Anybody have any questions on that? Used 100%. So that this is so 1,302, that's what's left from now until December 31st?
no, what the revenues are showing, Carlotta, with that is that the annual budget was set at 3.538 million. And we've gotten in 3.539 and something million. So that $1,300 approximately is the difference. So we're actually coming out ahead, but because of accounting principles, the way that it has to be displayed on here.
Okay.
So, so no, actually if you look at what we have left is actually at the bottom under, total expenses and net income. That 704, the 704,000, almost 705,000, that's what we still have not expended in 2020 that was budgeted for.
Correct.
So
Makes sense.
obviously we have more in the operating account, which if you look at the cash statement, you will see that because it's carried over like a checking account or whatever.
Right. Anybody else? questions?
Also, if, this shows that we've only expended about 80% of our revenues, and, we're 92% of the year
Right,
done.
right,
So,
okay. Check register? Does anybody have any questions? I think I'm on page 2 and then there shouldn't be. No questions? Oh, this is easy. I've already asked all my questions when I signed the check, so I'm,
I think I put it in my report that you're only seeing the checks for the first half of the month because when budget came out. So those will all be in December. So she and I are going to talk on Monday about a slightly different schedule to get checks entered into the, I don't want to say correct month, because at the end of the year, they'll all be entered, but to get,
right,
so that we can see the second half of each month. And then also, the problem is that the minute you start putting anything in, like the system can't backdate the register like that. So when you run this report, it posts, you guys know this, it posts in the month where you actually input the information. So December will be potentially, you'll see the you will see the second half of November, at the first half of December, and then depending on when Bridget comes out at the end of the year, you may see all of December. So we're still trying to work out some of that timing.
any other questions? Did we do everything? Income statement.
Is Gray House Publishing a new book vendor? Or they've been there before and I just.
They've been here before, yeah.
The cash statement, anybody have any questions on that one? No? Okay. That's it, I'm done.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we can vote on the financial reports for November. Monzon,
Yes.
Pelletier, yes. Puzo,
Yes.
Jost,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes,
Mesa Jack.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, next is facilities. I feel like for the next several months at least, our facilities will be, our report will be mostly consist of our YS renovation. You're muted, Pam.
I didn't have we didn't have a facilities committee meeting, but I can talk a little bit about the pre-bid meetings now if you want, or we can talk about them underneath the YS renovation.
Yeah, now it's fine.
Okay, so as I think I indicated in my report, Jason was out yesterday and today doing pre-bid construction meetings. We had 3 each day. I think we had a total of probably between the 2 days, close to 35 subcontractors out. So he was really pleased with the way that things went. He and I met briefly this afternoon, and he's going to have anywhere from 4. He thinks he'll have anywhere from 4 to 6 bids on like the demolition, the general trades, drywall, painters, flooring, HVAC, electrical. He's a little bit light, he said, so he may only have 1 or 2 on plumbing and fire protection. But he's going to reach out and see if he can. He wants to, his goal for all of this is to have at least 3 bids that SMC can review and make some good recommendations to us. But he was really pleased with the way that things went. It was a lot of little meetings because we wanted to make sure that we were maintaining social distancing and following the rules and the guidelines that the governor has set down. But he said it worked out pretty well. He's never done this type of, he hasn't done this kind of thing before where, he's got all the different meetings. Usually it's one big pre-bid meeting. But he said this was nice because it gave him an opportunity to talk to each of the guys that were out in a little bit more detail. And so he gave them just kind of a brief rundown of the schedule, and, you know, and when they're expected to have their bids in and stuff like that. And then they did walkthroughs of the building. So everyone should have a good idea of the space and what's involved. He's meeting with one of the architects here on Monday. They have to issue a couple of addendums to the plans. He's hoping right now that he can keep the same due date for the bids, which is December 21st. So he's going to work really hard to keep that. If he has to bump that to after the holidays, we may have to have a special board meeting in January, just depending on the timing. But I had indicated to him that I didn't think that would be too much of a problem, especially if we're meeting virtually. It's a little bit easier for people to, you know, meet for that special board meeting. But he wants to make sure that the, you know, potential bidders have enough time to put in a good bid, and that, and more importantly, that SMC has enough time to do detailed review and analysis of each of the bids and make sure that they're viable. So I told him that I believed that the board shared my appreciation for that, and that, you know, we want to get it right. And so if it takes, you know, another, you know, an additional week, that I was fairly comfortable with that, and spoke for the board. And I said I thought that the board would also agree that, you know, we want to get it right the first time. So yeah, so that's moving right along. And then as I've indicated, line of credit loan did come through. We're working on the closing documentation, which is the stuff that will that I've asked you guys to approve later on. Those are just resolutions. The bank needed things presented in a certain way, which is why we had to do all of these things. So, but we can talk about that more when it gets down there. And the rest of the building seems fine. No issues. Yeah, so everything seems to be, you know, going along well. Ed's taking really good care of the building. He's been able to do a lot of, you know, little things that are harder to do when the building is open. So we're trying to take advantage of no patrons in the building for now.
Okay. I just got a quick, is everybody else hearing Pam okay? 'Cause
Yes.
I am, yeah.
Yeah, everyone else is? Apparently Joanne, something was, Eric, you're hearing okay? Still, okay.
So- You hear us? I guess not.
Yeah. Joanne, can you hear us? Looks like she can't hear anybody. Hold on. Let me just. Here, I'm gonna keep talking. I'm gonna see if Joanne can. Because I'm talking. Can you hear anybody? Her sound might be out. So she might, maybe I'll suggest to her that maybe she logs out for a second and logs back on. I feel like that's 60% of tech IT. Like, well, let's shut it off and turn it back on. So, Joanne, can you hear me? That looks like that's a no. Hold on.
I'm chatting with her in Zoom, so she's going to sign off and come back on.
Okay,
So.
all right. We won't go through anything too important till then. Okay, well, good to hear about the bids, or about that those 2 days went well. I'm sure that's it's a way to find a silver lining about things. I'm sure it was probably one of the more unusual kind of you know, having everyone come through in stages and everything like that. But there might be a pro to it, being able to have a little bit more one-on-one kind of thing. Maybe give yourself a little chance to kind of digest, someone you met, and then just kind of, instead of having 50 people all at once. So, is that better? You're good? Okay, good. All right.
I don't know what happened. Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. That's what happens. Mhm. All right, so move on to policy. I think again, the policy committee is first quarter next time, or?
Yeah, I was thinking we would meet in January. Of course, that's right around the corner. So I will, but there are some things that we do need to review, I think, especially since we didn't have one in October. So I will pull together some potential dates. Obviously, it will be a virtual meeting. Mick is not here. He's on the policy committee. So I'll send that out to policy committee members within the next couple of weeks to set a date in January for our meeting. So.
All right. Next is staff reports. Do you have, I know you highlighted several things, including some on the renovation and COVID updates. Is there anything else you want to share? Any other?
Well, the only thing that I did want to, talk to the board about and let you know what I'm thinking. I did indicate in my report that I didn't anticipate opening the building to the public till mid-January at the earliest. I am thinking at this point of not opening to the public until February 1st. That's a Monday, so that would work out. I'm very concerned about, cases over the holidays. A lot of people traveled over Thanksgiving. They're anticipating that people will be traveling even more and seeing more people over Christmas. So I figured kind of sticking out those kind of 2 weeks after the holidays would put us through most of January. We are seeing a few issues where, luckily we've only had one case of COVID of a staff member, and that person did not get it from here, got it from a significant other. But we are, having to quarantine people that have been in contact with someone who has COVID, that kind of thing. So, especially now with the vaccines starting to be on the horizon, obviously, it'll be several months into 2021 before everyone gets one that, gives us herd immunity. But I feel like waiting those extra couple of weeks also means, fingers crossed, that we won't have to close again. So I'd rather kind of keep things, we've got good procedures in place. Curbside is very popular. It's going really well. I don't anticipate that we would stop that at any point. So it's not like, we would completely close the building like we did at the beginning. But I just feel like that puts us in, I feel like that keeps the staff safer and our patrons then ultimately safer as well. So I just wanted to let the board know that what I was thinking, and then find out from you if that was okay with you, or if any of you are really opposed to that and want to make some other suggestion.
Do we have to vote on that?
No, I mean, unless you're going to tell me, no, I can't do that. But I just wanted to give you guys kind of a heads up that this is what I was thinking, and to see if there was any, if any of you were really opposed to that or had a different thought about that. But
I think it makes a lot of sense, the extra 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think it does too. I think, the soonest that a lot of the schools around us are planning to open, not that the library has to mirror the school schedule, but you want to have that in mind. You don't want the schools closed and then people thinking, let's just go over to the library. I mean, that it is a factor. So I think that makes sense. And it's, and if it's, what is that? Yeah, that's 2 weeks after some, and a lot of it's a big if right now. I think that's all you can do. You can kind of have a kind of penciled in plan, adapt when you need, which if we've learned anything from this pandemic, our plans might have to be adjusted. So that's the reality of it. So, but I think that makes sense. Is everybody feeling, I see Lima nodding. Again, it's hard to read the room because, you're not all sitting around me. So is everyone feeling comfortable with that?
I'm fine with it. I'd rather have everybody healthy than everybody sick and start all over again. And, just wait it out and see what happens. If the schools aren't going to be open, like Emily said, then all these kids that aren't in school are going to be in the library. So we're defeating the purpose. So just keep it closed.
Yeah.
As long as we're, giving the patrons what we can give them, under the circumstances, we're fine.
Yeah, and I was talking to one of the other, I think it was one of the managers or another staff person, I can't remember who at this point, but, we were kind of comparing what we're doing now with curbside to when we were open. And, one of the things, we only did it for a day because it was kind of the same thing like we did in March. It was like we had these plans and then we just moved really quickly. But, we were eliminating, inside computer appointments and stuff like that. And we thought the and because people could only be in here for such a short amount of time, basically all they could come in is if they had a hold, come in and pick it up. There wasn't, I mean, there was some brief time for browsing and stuff, but really that's the only thing that patrons are missing out on right now, right? Because all of our program is still virtual or via the telephone, and we're still doing curbside and everyone can place holds. So we really felt that because we have developed, I think, such strong services and programs, either virtually or curbside, that just opening up the building to say, hey, you can come in for 30 minutes, but you can't use the computer or whatever, there were minimal downsides to just staying closed to the public, and then so it was kind of another factor in our decision-making process.
Does the staff, if somebody calls in and needs help for something, I don't know,
Mhm.
will the staff Zoom a patron?
Well, we've been answering reference phone calls all along. We're just doing regular telephone reference. I think, and so we're doing telephone reference, we're doing chat reference. I don't know that anyone has Zoomed a patron yet, but I have been talking to Melissa about potentially doing book a librarian sessions via Zoom, if that's something that we want to consider doing. But we're just doing our regular reference, so telephone and chat, and then most people are getting the information they need with that.
Okay, I was just wondering if they did
Yeah.
that.
How is the staff overall kind of mental well-being? How's everybody faring through all this?
Pretty good. I think that, everyone's excited about the YS renovation, particularly the YS staff. But I think, we've got some good protocols in place in the library. So I think that people that, when they are here, they're comfortable. I mean, I'm in my office alone with the doors closed and the windows open, so I don't have my mask on. But other than that, we wear our masks like 99% of the time, unless, you're taking a drink of water or something like that. But I feel like, the departments have a good routine going, and, are creating some really great programs, and they've been busy with reference questions and that sort of thing. So I feel like they're doing okay. I know there had been a lot of anxiety around the election and stuff, and so that kind of calmed down. I think some of that's ramping up just with some of the interesting things that are happening right now. But I do feel, I think staff is doing okay. So, I'm trying to remain as flexible as possible so that we can, we can, just because, it's such a crazy time. And so, if I can be flexible, I'm trying to be flexible. So I think that staff appreciates that.
Is staff taking advantage of medical leave or sick leave, family leave?
We haven't had anyone that has needed to do that so much. I've got a couple people that did take the emergency paid sick leave because they had to quarantine because they were living with someone with COVID. But some of the other leave that was available to them, they have not had to take. So, and I think some of that is because we've been able to be so flexible, in allowing them to continue to work from home and allowing them to kind of, set their schedule if they're not actively like on desk or, answering phones for reference or whatever. It doesn't make any difference to me if someone, works their 7.5-hour day or whatever it is. Like, let's say they're working from home. If they break that up into, 4 different chunks of time because they have a child at home or something like that. So I think that because we have been so flexible, staff haven't needed to take advantage of that as much as if we had been a little bit stricter with time and constraints. But that time is available to them at least through the end of the year. I don't know, what the federal government's going to do about extending some of those benefits, some of that, the FFCRA obviously I have a suggestion for, sick time for non-benefit eligible people, but we're always allowed to be more generous than the federal government and the state government in terms of what we're offering our staff. And so there's no reason for me and the department managers to not continue to be as flexible as we can with people.
No, it's good to hear that people are staying safe and healthy, because it's out here. I'm hearing more family and friends who are getting sick, or know people who are exposed, or whole families who are down for the count.
Yeah.
So to hear that everyone at the library is doing okay is reassuring.
Yes, so far, we see some light at the end of the tunnel, and it doesn't feel like the oncoming train. Hopefully it's not. But we still have to get through what everyone is saying are going to be a couple of brutal months. And so I really want to make sure that, I'm keeping staff and then ultimately the community as safe as possible. So,
Yeah.
Well, and thank you for sharing that too, because I think, being a working parent right now, well, look, this is stressful just across the board. But being a working parent right now, having the additional stress of somehow feeling like, you need to feed your kid lunch, but my boss is going to be mad if I don't get this, or, having that additional stress right now is just not what anyone needs. And we know our staff is awesome. They're professionals. They're going to get their job done. They've proven that throughout any circumstance, whether it's in person, virtual, whatever. So I think it's awesome that that you can show that to your staff, that they're going to do they're going to do their work. And so yeah, so thank you for sharing that. I'm glad everyone's staying healthy, and with our staff and everything too. But yeah, I think you have our support with your plan for February 1st.
Thank
Of
you.
course, keep us posted if you're feeling otherwise. I mean, and we are seeing the same kind of updates you are too. So,
Right.
so if it looks like we have to tweak it, then we'll go from there. So, yeah.
I know, I think sometimes the staff, not so much now, but certainly kind of in earlier months, this idea that I don't know if they thought I, had some access to some secret cache of information that no one else did or whatever. So, I tell them all the time, I'm like, I'm making the decisions with the same information that they are. So nothing's a secret.
Yeah. I'm sure, Pam, if you have a crystal ball back there and you can,
I'm not telling anyone how anything turns out yet.
That would be amazing, but yeah. Okay, so we'll move on to unfinished business. We talked about the YS renovation, and that kind of moves on to the line of credit. Did we skip over anything with the YS renovation before we get there?
No, I don't think so. I think we're
Okay.
pretty much updated. Yeah.
Okay. So, and I see the suggested wording for the resolution too. So
the three things that are on the agenda are, obviously I sent them to you, but the only thing that needs to pass is the resolution, but you have also in front of you the officer's certificate and then the certification of the minutes from tonight. Those are just documents saying that you certify all of you as officers, and that the secretary, Joanne, is certifying the minutes, as they're going to be presented. So there's just kind of all pieces of paper that go along with the resolution that for the bank.
okay, but the only one that officially needs motion approval is the resolution. Yeah, gotcha. Okay, well, I'll make a motion to approve resolution
2020-06, and I'll write that in.
Yes, okay, there we go. Resolution 2020-06 to approve a line of credit for the library with Fifth Third Bank, which line of credit is to be used for the remodeling, repairing, or improving of the library building, and authorize executive director and any other officer of the library to the necessary documents on behalf of the library to accomplish the closing of the loan.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Okay, we can vote on the resolution. Pelletier, yes. Puzo,
Yes.
Jost,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Mesa Jack,
Yes,
Monzone.
that was a yes.
Monzone, Eric, are you there?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
All right,
Yes.
great. And then I know that a few things have to be signed by me and Joanne, Pam, so just,
Yeah, I will, I asked the closing officer at the bank about this before, or, earlier when we were talking about closing documentation. If he needed actual wet signatures on things, and he said probably not. So I'm gonna contact him tomorrow to double check on that. He may be able to use them as is with, a link to the video and stuff like that, saying that it was approved. So I will let you know if you guys need to pop in, or I can stop over and have them signed if necessary. But we may not have to, because they've been doing closings and things, via Zoom like everyone else. So, but I'll let you guys know for sure if I need to get your signatures.
okay, sounds good. All right, next is director review, which we will go into executive session, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. New business, the 2021 per capita grant.
So I just wanted to let you guys know, first of all, the due date for the per capita grant has been pushed back 2 months. It's normally due January 15th of each year. It's due March 15th, 2021 for next year. Excuse me. There has also been a new edition of the Serving Our Public, the Standards for Illinois Public Libraries. It just came out a couple months ago. So one of the things that we are required to do for this year's per capita grant application is to review the entire document. It's only about 80 pages. It reads pretty quickly. A lot of it's checklists. So I did send that to you guys in one of the emails, just so that you've got it. And then tonight we weren't going to go over anything, but in January and February, I have been working through the lists with the department managers. We meet almost all standards. I think there might be a few that we don't, that are not significant, but anything that we need to either improve upon, or that we haven't done anything with one of the standards, I'll outline those and I'll review those more with the board in the next couple of months. But just to give you a heads up that that's coming, and that there was a slight change in the due date.
Okay, sounds good. Next is, and I know you sent this to us too, but the temporary sick leave benefits.
So as I mentioned, FFCRA is at least right now scheduled to expire at the end of the year. We don't know what the federal government is going to do, if any of that is going to be extended. Just to remind the board that back at the beginning of the pandemic, we did pass a resolution giving our non-benefit eligible staff members some sick leave, so that if they were ill, they wouldn't drag themselves into work and potentially make everyone else sick. And I'm asking the board to approve extending that for our non-benefit eligible staff members through 2021. I would hate, what I don't want to have happen at any point, even once the vaccine becomes more widely available, is that a staff person who does not have any benefit time available to them, come into work because they need the money or something like that, and potentially make someone else sick or make themselves sicker. So as you can see from the policy, none of this money will be paid out. People will only get this benefit if they need it. And it is, when this will be, our under 20 hours a week people are the only non-benefit eligible people that we have on staff. Anyone that works 20 hours or more, full-time has, full sick leave benefits, but the in between, the 20-hour a week people to the 37.5-hour people in between there, they all have prorated benefits. So it doesn't apply to everyone on staff, but I think it's a nice, I don't want to say it's nice, I mean, it is nice, but I think it's an important gesture to, I think it's a big support for the staff, and then it shows the staff too that myself and then hopefully the board, care about their physical well-being and don't want them to come into work if they're not feeling well, both for their own benefit and then, but for the benefit of the rest of the staff. So.
Yeah. Well, you don't want staff to feel like they have to make a choice between that, or, they don't have the sick time or whatever, so they have to come in, and that's not something that anyone needs right now. So.
And this is when you talk about 2 weeks of paid time, it's based on their hours. So like if someone is a 12-hour a week, circulation clerk, those 2 weeks of time is, 12 hours 1 week and 12 hours the next week kind of thing. So it's, it's based on their hours. It's not like, oh, you get 2 weeks of full-time benefits. It's prorated based on their hours.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll make a motion to, well, we're approving, we're extending this, right?
The resolution that was passed that did this expired at the end of May. So I'm just treating this as a new one. So I would approve it.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll make a motion to approve the sick leave benefits policy temporary for 2021.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Okay, Puzo,
Yes.
Jost,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes. Yes.
you, Masajek,
Yes.
Monzone,
Yes.
Pelletier, yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. Well, I will just, because we're going to be going into executive session. So I'm going to jump down real quick to public comments, non-agenda items. Mr. Harrod, was there, just in case you wanted to take off during our executive session, was there any comments you wanted to make non-agenda? Okay. I tried.
No,
Okay, all right,
I
thanks.
want to find the unmute thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know.
Down there, you know.
Okay, all right, just wanted to check. Thank you. Okay, so
I did want to say one thing too, Emily, I'm sorry, I forgot to send this in with the other communications. We did also this month or in November receive a $50 donation with a nice note saying, this was for all the great service that the staff had provided. So I forgot to include a copy of that with the other communications. So my apologies.
Oh,
I
no.
will send that after this so you can keep it with your other board packet stuff.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's nice to hear. And the thank you notes from Ms. Lon and Ms. Greg were very, that's nice to have those little, those little notes sent in. So thank you for sharing those.
Yeah, and I'm on Karina's graphic. I'm sure you all looked at it because I know you love it and they're wonderful. She did also include a couple of other comments that have come in like via social media or some other things about how great the staff has been and stuff. So
Yeah. Always love Karina's report. It's awesome. Okay, I have my instructions, which are very helpful. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to go into executive session for the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body as allowed per 5 ILCS 120/2C1.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Jost,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Masajek,
Yes.
Monzone,
Yes.
Pelletier, yes. Puzo,
Yes.
So Emily, I will give you host duties. So then I assume, so you guys will do some discussion and then bring me in from the waiting room.
Yes.
And then when we're done, then we'll open it back up and then bring Mr. Harrod in if he's still around, right? Okay. So let me do that.
Okay.
Okay, I've started the recording again.
Okay, so we are back in open session. It is 8:26 p.m. We will do roll call again in open session.
Gonzalez,
Here, yes.
Mesa Jack,
Here.
Monzone,
Here.
Pelletier here, Puzo,
Here.
Swanson, no, Jost.
Here.
Okay.
All right, so now we will vote on the items discussed in executive session. So I will make a motion to approve the salary amount of $110,000 for the 2021 fiscal year for Pamela Leffler.
Second.
Thank you.
Sorry,
That's okay.
you with the EM initials are,
Yeah, I know.
okay, Mesa Jack,
Yes.
Monzone. Monzone,
Yes.
Pelletier, yes, Puzo,
Yes.
Jost,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, well, we already kind of touched on communications. Hope everyone saw those very nice thank you notes. Again, we appreciate those, our articles in the Trib that you send over, those little thank you notes. Those are, and I'm sure those help. Those are little bright spots for the staff as well, so. Oh, you're muted.
I don't know if anyone saw, or if any of you saw, I can send it to you if you want. Melissa actually spoke to the Tribune reporter, and there's a really nice article about our Coming Together Morton Grove project, the postcard project, and then our pandemic postcard. So I will I'll send that to you guys when we're done here. It was a really nice write-up of that. And the Coming Together in Niles Township that we do every year, that we've done every year for 10 years, they're going to be a slightly different focus for 2021. And one of the things we're going to be doing is some kind of postcard campaign based on what we had done. So it'll be, I mean, it's nice that people are seeing our stuff and they're wanting to, take certain parts of it and, make it work for them as well. But I think that also speaks to what a great job everyone is doing. That people are seeing what we're doing and they want to tweak it for their own libraries or their own organizations.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I did want to do one personal brag, not about myself, but my oldest son, who has a master's in public health, was accepted into a PhD program in Madison on climate change and public health. So he just found that out on Friday. So yeah, yeah, so he'll be in the Nelson School of Public Health, I think. With Madison has a big, they're well-known, this is a well-known kind of institute for that. And the guy that Thomas will be working under, his advisor, is the director of the Global Health Institute there. And he's been part of a group that received a Nobel Prize for some climate change thing. So we're all pretty excited. So I just want to brag about my kid.
That's awesome. Congrats to him. That's pretty amazing. He's going to be able to consult all of yeah. It's, I mean, he's always been interested in that anyway. And, but this was really super exciting and great news for him personally. And then, for us, we're really proud of him. So yeah, I'm telling everyone. I love it. Yeah, that's so cool. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. All right. Okay. We already went through everything else. Public comment, Mr. Herod, we'll address it. Thank you again for tuning in. All right, so I have 8:31. Meeting is adjourned. So then our next meeting is